I'm glad to have you here. Follow my story until the end and comment the city you're watching from so I can see how far my story has reached. My mother's scream through the phone on Christmas Eve was loud enough to echo off the walls of my five-star resort suite in Cabo. "Where are you?" she shrieked. "The kids are screaming, your brother is furious, and dinner is ruined. You were supposed to be here hours ago to watch the triplets." I took a slow sip of my iced mimosa, looking out over the turquoise ocean as the warm tropical breeze hit my face. "I'm not coming, Mom," I said calmly. "I told you weeks ago I had holiday plans." The silence on the other end was deafening, followed by absolute chaos as my parents realized their master plan to turn me into their unpaid, full-time holiday babysitter had completely collapsed. I'm glad to have you here. Follow my story until the end and comment the city you're watching from so I can see how far my story has reached. My name is Hannah, I'm 32 years old, and for as long as I can remember, my primary role in my family was to be the reliable one. While my older brother Marcus was treated like royalty, I was expected to keep my head down, work hard, and clean up everyone else's mess. Marcus is 35, and he's the undisputed golden child. Whatever Marcus wants, Marcus gets. 3 years ago, he and his wife had triplets. Ever since then, the family dynamic shifted from subtle favoritism to absolute madness. Suddenly, Marcus and his wife were exhausted parents who deserved constant breaks, and I was the single, childless aunt who apparently had nothing better to do with her life. It all reached a boiling point exactly 1 month before Christmas. I was visiting my parents' house to drop off some groceries. As I walked down the hallway toward the kitchen, I heard my mother's voice on speakerphone, talking to Marcus. I stopped in my tracks when I heard my own name. "Don't worry about the kids for Christmas week, Marcus," my mother was saying smoothly. "You and Sarah go ahead and book that weekend spa retreat in Aspen. Hannah doesn't have a husband or kids, so her schedule is completely open. She can stay at your house and watch the triplets from December 23rd straight through to the 27th. Marcus laughed on the other end. "Are you sure, Mom? Did you ask her? You know how she gets about her personal time." My mother snorted. "Ask her? Why would I ask her? She's family. What else is she going to do on Christmas? Sit at home alone? We'll just tell her the plan a few days before. She won't say no. She never says no." Standing in that dark hallway, listening to them carve up my holiday time without even asking, something inside me snapped. 2 days later, my mother brought up the holiday schedule during our Sunday dinner, just as I knew she would. She passed the mashed potatoes with a tight, practiced smile and said, "Hannah, your brother and Sarah have had such an exhausting year with the triplets. They really need a break to reconnect as a couple. Family always steps up when someone is struggling, don't they?" I swallowed my food slowly and looked her dead in the eye. "Is that so, Mom?" "Well, yes," she continued, her tone dripping with passive-aggressive condescension. "You don't have a real family of your own yet to worry about, so it just makes sense for you to help out. You should be grateful you have such sweet nieces and nephews to keep you company over Christmas." Notice how she didn't actually ask me. It wasn't a request. It was a command wrapped in a guilt trip. In the past, I would have argued, gotten emotional, and eventually surrendered just to keep the peace. But hearing them plot behind my back had cleared my vision entirely. If I started a fight now, they would spend the next month gaslighting me, calling me selfish, and turning the entire family against me. So, I did something I had never done before. I smiled, nodded, and said, "Family is so important, Mom." She beamed, completely oblivious to the cold fury running through my veins. She thought she had won. That very night, I went back to my apartment, opened my laptop, and took control of my own life. I looked up the most luxurious, adult-only resort I could find in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. 5 stars, ocean view, private balcony, and absolutely 0 children allowed. I booked a 5-day, all-inclusive package, along with a first-class flight. It was non-refundable, and it cost a small fortune, but every single dollar felt like buying a piece of my freedom back. Over the next 3 weeks, I played the part of the dutiful daughter flawlessly. I let my mother make her arrogant assumptions, and I let Marcus post on social media about his upcoming much-needed romantic getaway. 2 days before Christmas Eve, I set up an automated out-of-office email, packed my bags with sundresses and swimwear, and called an Uber to the airport. No notes, no warnings, no second chances. As the plane lifted off the tarmac, I turned my phone onto airplane mode and leaned back into my leather seat, sipping champagne high above the clouds. On Christmas Eve morning, I woke up to the sound of crashing waves, stretched lazily under the soft cotton sheets of my resort bed, and decided to treat myself to room service on the ocean-facing balcony. I took a slow sip of hot coffee, enjoying the peaceful quiet, before turning my phone back on around 9 in the morning. The moment my device reconnected to Wi-Fi, it went absolutely nuclear. 47 missed calls, dozens of text messages, each one escalating in anger and sheer desperation. I scrolled through them with a smirk. The first few messages from Marcus were light. "Hey Hannah, drop the kids at your place. Where are you?" The next ones rapidly spiraled into panic. "Why aren't you answering? The kids are freezing outside. Where the hell are you, Hannah?" Then came my mother's texts. "You better have a good excuse for this. Your brother's flight to Aspen leaves in 2 hours. Call me right now." Just as I was reading through the chaos, my mother's photo flashed across the screen. I let it ring 3 times before hitting answer and putting it on speaker. "Where are you?" she shrieked, her voice shrill enough to cut through glass. "Marcus is standing outside your apartment building with 3 screaming children. The luggage is piled in the snow, and Sarah is crying her eyes out. Dinner is ruined, their vacation is ruined, and everyone is waiting on you. Why aren't you here yet?" I took a slow, deliberate sip of my iced mimosa, looking out over the turquoise water as a warm tropical breeze rustled the palm trees. "I'm not coming, Mom," I said, keeping my tone perfectly smooth and relaxed. "I told you weeks ago, I had holiday plans." The silence on the other end was deafening. For 5 whole seconds, she couldn't even form a sentence. "What do you mean, holiday plans?" she finally sputtered. "You don't have plans. You're single." "I'm currently sitting on a private balcony in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico," I replied with a light laugh. "Don't wait up. I'm enjoying my own vacation." Background screaming erupted over the line as Marcus grabbed the phone from her. "Are you out of your mind?" he yelled, sounding like a frantic child. "We booked a $10,000 trip to Aspen. Sarah's spa day starts tomorrow morning. You can't just leave us stranded with our own kids." "They're your kids, Marcus," I said coldly. "Maybe it's time you learned how to parent them. I'm glad to have you here. Follow my story until the end and comment the city you're watching from so I can see how far my story has reached." By Christmas Day, my phone was still buzzing, but the tone of the family group chat had shifted from explosive rage to desperate, sniveling negotiation. Around noon, while I was lounging poolside, a group call came through from my father's phone. I answered, putting it on speaker, so I could sip my drink while they dug their own grave. "Hannah," my father began, trying to sound like the stern patriarch, though the sound of screaming triplets in the background severely undercut his authority. "Your stunt yesterday forced Marcus to cancel his entire trip to Aspen. They lost thousands in non-refundable deposits. On top of that, we had to hire an emergency nanny service at triple the holiday rate just so your mother and I didn't collapse from exhaustion. You need to send Marcus $3,000 to cover his losses and pay for this nanny." I burst out laughing, loud enough for the whole pool area to hear. "You want me to pay for Marcus's kids and his ruined vacation? It's the least you can do after ruining Christmas for the entire family," my mother chimed in, her voice cracking with tension. "You acted completely out of malice." "No, Mom," I said, my voice dropping its playful edge and turning razor sharp. "I acted out of self-respect. Did you really think I didn't hear you a month ago? Standing in the hallway at your house while you and Marcus planned my entire holiday without my consent. You literally called me the default nanny and said I had nothing better to do with my life because I don't have a husband." Dead silence fell over the line. Marcus breathed heavily in the background, but no one spoke. "I know about the group chat where you all mock my single life while expecting me to bankroll your freedom with my unpaid labor," I continued smoothly. "My time My money and my peace are no longer open for your exploitation. Marcus chose to have 3 kids.
He pays for them.
You chose to enable him. You deal with them. Before anyone could stammer out another pathetic excuse, I hung up the call. I spent the remaining 3 days of my trip in absolute bliss. I went scuba diving, treated myself to deep tissue massages, and enjoyed quiet dinners under the stars without a single interruption. For the first time in years, I didn't feel the weight of my family's endless demands dragging me down. When I finally landed back home after New Year's, I returned to a completely restructured reality. My parents and Marcus had tried every trick in the book to break me: guilt-tripping, silent treatment, and angry voice messages, but my refusal to engage shattered their leverage. Without their free, designated babysitter available, Marcus and Sarah were forced to face the reality of parenting their own children. They had to budget for professional childcare, cancel unnecessary luxury trips, and actually learn how to manage their home life without relying on unpaid family labor. A few weeks later, my father called me alone. His voice was subdued, drained of all his previous arrogance. He didn't ask for money, and he didn't demand an apology. Instead, he simply asked how I was doing and admitted that the family had taken advantage of my kindness for far too long. It wasn't a full, glowing confession, but it was a start. I made my new boundaries crystal clear. I am a beloved aunt, not a default nanny. If they ever wanted me in their lives, respect was the minimum entry fee. Standing up for myself was terrifying at first, but taking that quiet flight to Mexico was the best decision I ever made. I reclaimed my peace, my self-respect, and my time. Now, I'm curious about your thoughts. What would you have done if you found out your family was secretly planning to turn you into their free holiday babysitter? Have you ever had to set drastic boundaries with toxic relatives? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more real-life stories.